Should all D&D campaigns start out as a one-shot adventure? If a one-shot becomes a campaign, great. If a planned campaign becomes a one-shot, not so great. Grand D&D campaigns often get started in one of two ways. They are designed and planned by the Dungeon Master from an original concept and long-term vision. Or they are a series of standalone one-shots that they somehow find a way to tie together and the players are none the wiser. In this video, I'm going to talk about that second option and will present some perspectives that show how one-shots just might be a better way to create your D&D campaign. To be clear, this video isn't about a right way or wrong way to create a campaign in D&D. On the one hand, you've got the classic pre-planned approach. I've always enjoyed the prep side of being a Dungeon Master, even more than running the game, and planning things out ahead of time, to me and to a lot of other Dungeon Masters, is a lot of fun. But I've noticed in recent years that running one-shots is also a viable method to create campaigns in a more organic way. This method has some benefits, with flexibility being the biggest. So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of planning your campaign the traditional way, then I'll describe how organically building a campaign through one-shots can be another approach worth considering. To start, there's the question about planning. By their nature, don't campaigns need a coherent and deliberate plan from the start? It can be argued that yes, they do. By definition, a campaign is a series of adventures that tie together with a common theme or broad objective. This implies that the common theme or broad objective must be known to the DM, and maybe even to the players. But there are some risks associated with all that planning. In the military, they say no plan survives first contact with the enemy, and fantasy gaming is no different. Every DM knows that no campaign goes completely as planned. As I've talked about before, there's a difference between planning and preparing. Before I go any further, consider this different way of looking at clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, it helps support the effort like all the other popular kids claim, but it actually helps you in a way because it shapes and refines the YouTube algorithm so that it can more accurately recommend videos like this one. So if you find this content useful or entertaining, tell YouTube you'd like to see more by clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel. And even if you don't, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Thank you. So what's all this talk about planning got to do with one-shots? And why is too much planning risky? Planning implies you can pre-decide not just what can happen, but to a certain extent what should happen and when. That's dangerous because the players and the dice can go one way when your plan assumes they should go another. Instead of planning, prepare instead. It's largely a matter of perspective, but it matters. Prepare by creating locations and monsters and NPCs, but not requiring them to be discovered in a particular order or handled in a particular manner in order for the campaign to proceed. That's the key difference. If you create a one-shot adventure where it can stand alone and there's nothing bad if the party decides to do something completely different, then that's cool. You can still create it with a mind for where it could go or what could happen, but if none of that comes to pass, it's no big deal. Here's another advantage. A one-shot adventure is the ultimate muse for subsequent creativity. One of the best ways to create an adventure is to use the events of the one-shot you just ran as the foundational inspiration for where you go next. You take where you left off in the last session as the starting point for the next, and so on. You also have the flexibility to change directions for the next session based on how the previous session ended. If you've used one-shots to create what turned into a long-running campaign, be sure to leave a comment and share your experience. There are many forever DMs who started off being asked if they'd volunteer to run a single D&D game for a group of players, and for whatever reason, they discover they either really love being a DM and want to do it again and again, or the players really love the job they did and keep begging for more. In those situations, especially ad hoc or short-notice D&D games, it starts off as a one-shot. There's no intention or expectation of it going any further than that one session. The DM may even start the game session without any sense for how they'll finish it. Somehow they do it the old-fashioned way, by making it up as they go along or by bastardizing someone else's adventure, or even taking inspiration from a completely non-fantasy source and throwing some swords and goblins at it. The session is a big success. The players have a great time and come away convinced you had everything planned all along. After you get home and your heart rate comes down to a reasonable level, you have two realizations. That was crazy stressful, and I don't know how I got through it, and that went better than I thought it would, and I already have ideas for where to take it from there. There's some common wisdom that a lot of teachers are only one chapter ahead of the class, and there may be some truth to that. There's also some wisdom in it for Dungeon Masters, in that you really only have to be one session or even one encounter ahead of the adventurers. When building a campaign a single session at a time, the two things you should strive for are, to the best of your ability, make everything look as if it was intended, and do what you can to take that random encounter you discreetly rolled for behind the DM screen and connect it to the organically growing theme of what is slowly looking like an ongoing campaign. Can you imagine the look on your player's face if, after running dozens or even hundreds of sessions in what they assumed was some grand campaign you planned and plotted to Tolkien-esque proportions, you admit, I was making it up all along the entire time? I've done that, and it's an amazing experience to see the players' reactions. I make a lot of content for Dungeon Masters, sharing my experience and lessons I've learned over the years. I hope this video helped you out. Even though I've been doing this since 1980, I'm still learning something new with every game I run. It's through sharing, this worked for me, or I tried this and it didn't go so well, that we all get better at running the game, and at being better players too. As always, have fun, stay cool, and keep your dice rolling.